Hello, everyone. Merry post-Christmas. Happy pre-New Year. I wanted to talk about the movie Marty Supreme, uh, directed by one of the Safdie brothers. Is it Benny or the other guy? I'm sorry, I don't know. I should know, but I don't. Um, but hey, pay me money and I'll do a better job. Uh, you get what you pay for. um, yeah, so I saw this movie uh, uh, actually on the recommendation of a couple of people whom I trust, who seem to have reliable taste. I have to say, when I saw the preview for it, I was not that excited to see it. It looked hokey. It looked like Oscar bait. It looked like a young kid with moxie, doing his best to impress a girl. Standing up on a bed in a motel room. It sort of looked. I wasn't that into it. I really wasn't that into the preview. And if I remember to, I'll post the preview below so you can see what I mean, maybe why the preview failed to interest me. The movie, however, is nothing like that. There's nothing at all in the least sentimental about this movie. And maybe it's Oscar bait. Maybe it could be accused as Oscar bait for Timothy Chalamet, coming out as it does at the very end of the year. And he's really, flexing his, or trying to flex his non-existent muscles, acting muscles. His acting muscles are existent because he does give a very good performance in this movie, but his muscles aren't his actual muscles are non-existent. He is really rail thin in this film, with a grubby little mustache. So yeah, he clearly there must have been some method stuff that was engaged in for this part. But whatever he did, it worked. Now, what I think is interesting about this movie, again, is that it's how unsentimental it is. And maybe I should have seen this coming, because the Safdie movies are usually about unsavory types of people. But what particularly struck me about this one is that this is the most anti-Semitic movie I've seen, probably, maybe ever. And it was obviously made by a Jew. But man, first of all, you've got Marty himself, who is this consummate con man. Just scams his way into everything and doesn't really do it charmingly. There's some, I don't know. This is a very dated example, but when you watch Fletch, when you watch Chevy Chase as Fletch, he's scamming his way into different situations with ridiculous disguises and aliases and stuff. But you're rooting for him the whole time. You're behind him. You want to see him get away with it. But in this movie with Marty, I never particularly wanted to see him get away with the things that he was getting away with. Now, his story was engaging, and I was interested to see where it went. Where it took me. So in that sense, it was compelling. And I guess if I just totally hated the guy completely, I would just want to stop. I probably wouldn't want to watch anymore, or I would just want him to die. But personally, there was no time over the course of this, and I should say, Marty's Jewish, and plays it up very, very. And like I said, accuse me of employing stereotypes if you want, but Jewish director, partly a Jewish actor, it is what it is. Now, Marty is actually good at ping pong. He's one of the world's best ping pong players. But in his real life, because ping pong is not the most lucrative sport in the world, at least not in our part of the world, he has to get by just sort of as a scam artist, and he's a shoe salesman, and he does stuff on the side, and he scams people, in various ways. He talks his way into things, and then sometimes his pride gets the better of him, and he blows what would be some perfect opportunity because he thinks too highly of himself and says the wrong thing at the wrong time. So he's very slick, but at the same time, he also doesn't exactly know when to shut the hell up. This movie is not based on a true story per se. It's loosely based on a real person who actually existed, but most of the events that you see take place over the course of the movie have no actual analog in actual history. So that's an interesting mix of fact and fiction. I mean, I imagine that just about every biopic we see is mostly fiction or largely fiction. And that's not always a bad thing. Sometimes you can, this might sound paradoxical, but sometimes you can unveil some truth about some person by showing him doing things that he never actually did. I mean, truth can be revealed through fiction. Otherwise, if it weren't otherwise, then fiction wouldn't even be a thing. Why write fiction at all? Why watch movies that are fictional? So on and so forth. But shove me in the shallow water before I get too deep. Okay, let's get back to the movie. This movie, the cast of characters in this movie are just the slimiest people. Not just Marty, but just about everybody who surrounds him, including I guess this sort of girlfriend character, that just this girl that he meets, and they have debauched little trysts in the basement of the shoe shop where Marty works, and then she's married and she winds up pregnant, and so then she sort of scams her way in to a couple of the scams that Marty's a part of, and they make a so-so scamming team, but Marty also has a friend who's a black guy who is a cab driver, and he and Marty also pull off some scams together. There's one sort of complicated one that they do at a bowling alley / pool hall / ping pong place, where all the people there don't know who Marty is. They've got no idea that he's one of the greatest ping pong players in the world, and so he pretends not to be very good, and then he wins a bunch of money off of them, and then he plays on their kindness by being mean and racist, pretending to be mean and racist to this black guy who's actually his friend, who's actually part of his scam. And it's a little complicated to explain, but the people there with the people who are hanging around this pool hall or whatever, this pool hall / ping pong place, because of their goodwill, they they end up completing the scam, like on behalf of the black guy who's actually in league with Marty, and then afterwards they're counting their money together and laughing. This is not a movie that's politically correct at all. There's nothing woke about this movie at all. It's very, very refreshing in that regard. There's no there's nothing in there. There's nothing thrown in for representation. There is even a very likely fictitious Holocaust story told by somebody who was at one of the camps, who claims that something happened to him that, when you think about it, just seems absolutely unbelievable. Now, the movie never says, "Oh, that was a lie," but the more you think about it, the more you think to yourself, that didn't happen, and that's some interesting ground to be treading on. But I guess, just like only Nixon could go to China, only a Safdie could make a movie with material like that in it. So I started to talk about the cast of characters surrounding Marty, and how disgusting and despicable most of them are. And another, just on a more primal level, some of them are just the ugliest people that you would ever hope not to meet. Just old. Some of them are old and gnarled and just and they're loud and uncouth. And again, most of them are also Jewish. So this movie, this is not a movie that the ADL would say to go and see to get a positive portrayal of Jews, or of not Judaism, but of Jews, let's just say. There's a subplot involving a rivalry that Marty has with a Japanese phenom player named Endo, and everything builds towards a kind of rematch between the two of them after Marty got his ass kicked by this Eno guy early on at an actual tournament. And that's when I saw the preview, I thought to myself, oh, this is going to be like a ping pong version of Rocky. That's what you get from the preview anyway. But even when this rematch happens, it arouses very ambiguous feelings in the viewer. I'm not really pulling for Marty. I'm impressed by certain things that he does. With con men, if you're forced to watch a con artist do his thing, sometimes you give them credit for their moxie, and sometimes you chuckle at the kind of stuff they come up with and the kind of stuff that people actually fall for. But it's like you don't really you can't really like a person like that. This is a movie ultimately about a man who seems to have no moral center. Now, there's a scene very late in the movie, in fact, the very last scene of the movie, which suggests the possibility of maybe a redemption arc, but I don't know. It's hard to see even then. So this is definitely a movie about somebody who could at best be called an anti-hero, but he's not really even an anti-hero that you particularly like. He's not like Travis Bickle or Joker / Arthur Fleck in the first Joker movie, or Michael Douglas's character in Falling Down. He's not like any of those guys where, you know, they're obviously going off the rails, and they're obviously doing things that aren't morally sound, but you still kind of root for them, pull for them. This is not a movie like that. This is a movie that shows a guy who's, you know, who's really got no moral core, and yet it's very compelling. It's very watchable. It's very entertaining. The period detail is fantastic. It's probably one of my favorites of the year. So that's my review of Marty Supreme.